Tasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitantam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitanscha Namom Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gordushe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Manchakalpatarurvyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Welcome everyone once again to this session. We are studying chapter 9 of Bhagavad-gita, the most confidential knowledge. And we have covered first 8 shlokas so far. In this chapter, Krishna speaks about the glory of pure devotional service. It's very important to know the glory of something that increases our curiosity about it. It makes us more attentive. So that's why Krishna follows that system. Whatever he's going to tell to Arjuna in Gita, first of all, he makes Arjuna understand this is authentic, this is incredible, this is highly beneficial. So then it's a nature of human mind. When you know the why of something, you are very attentive. You are able to absorb the message more. So Krishna first glorifies this knowledge by saying that this is 𝗪𝗶𝗹𝗹 Gyan, the most confidential knowledge. And then 8 characteristics of this knowledge are given. I am sure you might have already tried memorizing this shloka. It's in your memorization list. Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idamuttamam Pratyaksh Avagamam Dharmyam Susukham Kartum Avyayam. 8 characteristics. This is the king of all knowledge. Arjuna, being a person from Vedic times, he had been to Gurukul and he had studied many Vidyas under his teacher. So Krishna is saying, this Vidya, Arjuna, which I am giving you now, is the king of all education. You have gone through education, but this is the king of everything. Then Raja Guhyaha, it's the king of all secrets. Then Pavitram, it purifies a person from all kinds of sin done in the past, and even the sinful tendencies that are there in the heart, it uproots all. Uttamam, this is the highest knowledge. It takes you beyond the 3 modes. Then Pratyaksh Avagamam Dharmyam, it gives you a direct experience of God. Susukham, it is joyfully performed and completed. Dharmyam is the perfection of religion. Arjuna, in the beginning of his discussion with Krishna, was very perplexed. What is my dharma? And the dharma of fighting seems to be adharma. However, Krishna mentions that this knowledge that I'm giving you, if you do any activity with this knowledge, you'll be the most religious person. And finally, avyayam. This knowledge continues beyond liberation, which means you never lose it. And then Krishna started talking about his inconceivable potency of how he, totally aloof from material world, still controls the material world. Everything in the material world happens by his will, Ichha Shakti. And so that way everything depends on him. But because he is not personally bothered by what happens, he is aloof, he is carefree, he is neutral. Udasinvat. That's explained. He maintains, he creates, he destroys. But this just happens by his will without he personally interfering. So we stopped there yesterday. I've stopped at verse number 8. Let's go to 9. Before that, let's sing the Mangalacharan for Gita. Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Fullandayata Patra Netre Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraikapanaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gitamrita Duhe Namaha. Krishna is talking about his relationship with the material world, how he is related to the material world. That's explained. So we covered this table, the first half of it. Krishna is maintaining the material world. He's creating and destroying the material world through his energies. But then these activities do not bind him, and he remains neutral. That's what we'll discuss today. Also, we are going to do a very interesting exercise today, how to study Gita better. So I'll be sharing one method with you, which I personally follow. And that way you can, in future, whenever you study Bhagavad-gita, you can go deeper and deeper into the subject of Bhagavad-gita. So we already discussed all of this. Now let's come to 9.9. Krishna says, Na chamam tani karmani nibadhananti dhananjaya udasinvat asinam asaktam teshu karmashu. So though Krishna does so many activities, a person may think that, does Krishna also generate karma? Like, when we engage in activities, we generate karma. So does Krishna also generate karma? Does he also get bound by what he does? So the answer is no, he doesn't. That's why he mentions here, na cha mam tani karmani. Something which he already spoke in chapter 3, if you remember, when he was telling Arjuna to perform Nishkama Karma Yoga in a detached manner. He told Arjuna, I also work, Arjuna, in a very detached spirit. So he spoke the same thing there, na mam karmani limpanti, that karma does not touch me. And he repeats the same thing here. He doesn't generate any karmic reaction because he is udasinvat. Udasin means neutral, detached and aloof. Asaktam teshu karmasha. He's not attached, he's detached. That's what makes him behave like that. Oh Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I'm ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral. Purport. Okay, request one of you to read the purport. Paramita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. One should not think in this connection that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has no engagement. In his spiritual world, he is always engaged. In the Brahma Samhita 5.6, it is stated, Atmaramasya tasyasti prakriyata na samagamaha. He is always involved in his eternal blissful spiritual activities. But he has nothing to do with in his eternal blissful spiritual activities with this material. Oh, sorry. He has nothing to do with these material activities. Material activities are being carried on by his different potencies. The Lord is always neutral in the material activities of the created world. His neutrality is mentioned here with the word Udasina Bhat. Although he has control over every minute detail of material activities, he is sitting as if neutral. The example can be given of a high court judge sitting on his bench. By his order, so many things are happening. Someone is being hanged, someone is being put into jail, someone is awarded a huge amount of wealth, but still he is neutral. He has nothing to do with all that gain and loss. Similarly, the Lord is always neutral, although he has his hand in every sphere of activity. In the Vedanta Sutra 2.1.34, it is stated, Vaishamya Nairgahine Na. He is not situated in the dualities of this material world. He is transcendental to these dualities. Nor is he attached to the creation and annihilation of this material world. The living entities take their different forms in the various species of life according to their past deeds, and the Lord does not interfere with them.
Yes. So he doesn't interfere with them. And Prabhupada, to explain this, gives a beautiful analogy. I love his way of explanation. That makes it so simple to understand. He gives the analogy of a high court judge. He says the example can be given of a high court judge sitting on his bench. By his order, so many things are happening. Someone is being hanged, someone is being put into jail, someone is awarded a huge amount of wealth, but still he is neutral, which means he does not feel happy when someone is hanged, you know, and neither does he cry for that person, because he knows that person is just being awarded what that person deserves. So he has nothing to do with all that gain and loss. Similarly, the Lord is always neutral. And the High Court judge example is, very correct. However, in the material world, the judge may not know that this person is an eternal soul. With Krishna, this extra advantage is that Krishna knows that after all, the punishment is being given to the person, but that punishment will not affect the soul. If the person is, let's say, getting hanged, the soul remains still immortal. The only experience is not so palatable. So that experience, which is bad experience, is being gone through by me because of my bad karma. Sometimes when people, they become too sentimental about these things, they should know Atma is totally unaffected by happiness and distress. We have already studied that in second chapter. So it's only that the person goes through a bad experience. That's what is called suffering. Like sometimes the parent knows that little bit of physical hardship taken up by the child is not at all harmful, because after all, it will not damage the body of the child. It is only going to give some little pain here and there. Similarly, for the soul, whatever it may be done, whatever might be done to it, it can be thrown off a cliff, it can be pierced by arrows, it will not be affected. The body gets affected. And the experience that we call as pain is just because of that soul's attachment to the body. However, the soul is totally unaffected by it. So Krishna knows that, and that knowledge helps Krishna, or makes Krishna stay neutral, unaffected. I'll tell you an interesting incident. This is about the one Mataji, a Vaishnavi. I mentioned about her before also in one class. Her name was 𝗵𝗶𝗹𝗹 Devidasi, a disciple of His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj. So there's a wonderful book about her life, how she went back home, back to Radha. She came to Vrindavan in the 90s, 1990. decade. And those days, Vrindavan was not the way it is now. Now also, Vrindavan is very much like a village. Of course, there is a Vrindavan town, but then if you go 4 kilometers away from the town, Vrindavan, it's pretty much a village. And 20, 30 years ago, there used to be a lot of dacoits living in this area, thugs, dacoits. And it was not safe to, travel alone at night. In fact, now it's so nice that you can go to Govardhan from Vrindavan anytime in the day. Even at night, you'll find rickshaws, 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and you can go by rickshaw and go to Govardhan safely. But in those days, people dared not travel at those hours. It was very, very unsafe. So this Mataji, with one more devotee, she had gone to Govardhan. It was late night. She was coming back. So on the way, some thugs, they stopped the car. They wanted to loot all their belongings, all the money they had. And especially in Vrindavan at present also, when people see ISKCON devotee, and if that ISKCON devotee happens to be a Westerner, they think these people are pretty rich, so you can take all the money out from them. So then those people had guns and they were trying to persuade these two ladies to give all the money. The drivers were scared, and the other Mataji who was with 𝗪𝗏𝗹𝗹 Mataji was also very scared. However, 𝗪𝗏𝗹𝗹 Mataji, because she was very advanced in the Krishna consciousness, she was almost self-realized, she did not get scared. So she told those people that we don't have anything, we just went for parikrama, we don't have any money, nothing like that, So at that time, those people got really angry and they shot. When they shot, the bullet hit the other lady. She was injured in the stomach. The bullet hit her stomach and she started bleeding. So when she started bleeding, she was crying. She was thinking that I'm going to die now. But then that lady, she looked at the face of 𝗪𝗏𝗹𝗹 Mataji, who was sitting next to her. And she saw that 𝗪𝗏𝗹𝗹, even in such a situation, when she was shot, means this lady was shot, 𝗪𝗏𝗹𝗹 was still very calm and peaceful. And 𝗪𝗏𝗹 Mataji told that lady, don't worry, nothing will happen to you. And even if something happens to you, you're going back home, back to Godhead. So don't worry. If you die, you'll die in Govardhan or Vrindavan. Then you go to Krishna Loka. So she said so. And then at that time, that the people who had shot, they did not think that actually the bullet will hit the person. They thought we are just shooting in the air and nothing will happen. When they saw that this lady was bleeding, they ran away from there. So 𝗪𝗏𝗹𝗹 Mataji immediately told the driver, go to the hospital. They went to the hospital, the bullet was removed, and that lady survived this whole incident. Later on, then she shared that even in such a situation, because 𝗪𝗏𝗹𝗹 Mataji was self-realized, she was not affected. She could very much see that the body is shot, the soul is not shot, the soul is still immortal. So this knowledge is so purifying and rewarding. It can make one actually be situated at that level of consciousness. It's possible. This is a real story. This is not an imaginary story. It's a real story, true story, and shared by that lady who went through the whole experience, that this knowledge makes you transcendental, go beyond material experiences, very neutral. Then the material pains and material happiness doesn't affect, doesn't affect at all. Okay, so now what exercise will do is very interesting. Of course, for that you have to use a lot of your brain. First time maybe in the whole course you'll be using some brain. Till now everything was very easy. So you have to think a lot, but this will give you better understanding of Gita, how Krishna speaks in Gita. Okay, so the exercise is like this. In this shloka, you observe Krishna called Arjuna by the name Dhananjaya, right? He called Arjuna by the name Dhananjaya. So your exercise is something like this. You have to look at this word Dhananjaya very carefully. Answer these questions for yourself. I mean, you can take a notebook and try to answer all these questions for yourself. First, whose name is Dhananjaya? That's pretty simple, isn't it? Whose name is Dhananjaya? You would like to answer that in the chat box? who is being called Dhananjaya here in this shloka? Arjuna. Okay, very good. What does it mean? This word has come many times before, so what does it mean? Okay, very good. Money collector. He was not a money collector. So he won money, right? Jaya means winner and Dhana means wealth, right? If you say money collector, then it sounds something like a tax collector, who's asking everyone to give money. So he won money, he acquired money. That's why his name is Dhananjaya. Where all in Gita does this word come? Now, if I give this exercise to you, it will take a long time to find out. So I'll give you the answer also for this question. Don't worry. Where all does this word come in Bhagavad-gita? Yes, 1.15 it comes, and it comes at many places. It comes around 10 to 12 times in the whole Bhagavad-gita. Now, the main thing is that you have to draw the similarity in the message in all the verses where this word comes. Okay, that's the main task. So what I'll do is that I'll put you into breakout rooms, and you have to do this as a group exercise. Don't really conclude immediately. You'll have to think a lot to come to the conclusion, because there is similarity in all the verses where this name is used. You will not find one similarity, you'll find two similarity patterns. So you have to find those two similarity patterns, right? And then give me a very, purported explanation of what exactly Krishna is always trying to tell Arjuna when he uses the word Dhananjaya, or maybe Sanjaya calling Arjuna as Dhananjaya, whatever, So what is the main thing that Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna using this name? Okay, so this is like really advanced study of Bhagavad-gita, very deep level study of Bhagavad-gita analysis. So the thing is like this, to make it simpler for you, these are the places where the names have come, and the name has come. 2.48, 49, 4.41, 9.9, 18.29, 18.72, 1.15, 7.7, 11.14, 12.9. For your ease that you get the answer, I have divided these set into two sets, type 1, type 2. Type 1, the name carries a particular purport. Type 2, the same name carries another purport. Okay, now your task is to find that similarity. I'm putting you into breakout rooms. Do it together, and later on we can have maybe one person who is going to explain. Of course, all of you should come to the same conclusion, because here the message is same. It's not that different answers should come from all of you. It's going to be the same answer. But to make it easy for you, I'm putting you in groups. All right. So I'm making 7 groups, and you can start doing it. I hope the question is clear. Pretty clear, yes? Okay. So we put you into the groups, and we give you 5 minutes. Everyone, please join the group and participate in the discussion.
Hare
Krishna, welcome back. I hope you could complete the task in the time given. Some hands are up.
No, Prabhuji, we could not complete.
Could not complete.
We were just still reading.
No,
Actually, we
Prabhuji,
have
we could not
debated.
complete even half of it. Prabhuji,
Because
please.
the time limit is so short and there's so much to
5
read,
minutes,
you know.
not at all.
5 minutes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so then now the problem is that how do I put all of you together in the same group again?
It's difficult.
It's difficult, yeah? Because it randomly puts the group allocation.
Prabhuji, you can give this homework to us because
Okay, no.
needs lot of time.
The rooms are still the same as before. I can put you back. Don't worry.
Please,
How much time more? 5 minutes more?
5 minutes.
10 minutes.
No, I think Guruji, we can continue with it because ultimately you will give us the final answer also, and you will also listen what we have done. It is not necessary that everybody would have done same thing. So I think concluding part will be same, I suppose. So I mean.
No.
Prabhuji,
Okay.
give us time, Prabhuji. Please let us try. You
Okay,
told
5
us to
minutes.
use our brains.
5 minutes.
At least 10 minutes, please.
10 minutes more.
No,
5 minutes is at
Okay,
least.
7 minutes.
Okay, we
I have
give
to go to.
you
Prabhu?
8 minutes. 8 minutes. All
Hare.
right, fine.
Hare Krishna,
Okay.
Prabhu, could you please put me back on the room? I kind of lost the connection. So.
Yeah. All are going back. Don't worry. 8 minutes given.
Prabhu, can you please put up the shloka list again?
Okay, well, could you complete now? Yes? Was the time sufficient now? Okay, let's see. So we request the devotees, or especially the group leaders, you can raise your hand if you could conclude something. Okay, Guru Maya Prabhu, Hanit Mataji, Mahesh Prabhu, Sonali. There were 7 groups, and some did not join the groups actually. Bhakti Mataji, you missed to join. You were actually added. I think you have to update your Zoom. It may not show the option, if the Zoom is not updated. So
Okay.
join the room, right? So you update the Zoom next time, then you'll be a part of the room. Okay. There were 7 groups, only 4 hands are up. What about others? Okay, Vrindarana.
Prabhu,
They
I
might be
could have
still
not
discussing.
joined back the group.
But then when I restarted the rooms, you did not get the option to join again?
I didn't get.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry for that. All right, no problem. So we have 5 people. I think there should be 7. Anyway, so could you come to us some similar message in all those verses, right? Let's hear from Guru Mayam Prabhu. Type 1. What was the message?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I forgot our group number, so but Neha Vaikar Mataji, Satyadevar Prabhuji, and Arati and Yasira Mataji was there. So I'm representing that group, and I will summarize both for the type 1 and type 2 together. And at the beginning, Krishna was referring to Arjuna as Dhananjaya, as the conqueror of wealth in the beginning, and he is building up the explanation of the effect later on the later stages, that even though you are the conqueror of wealth, and he's praising there, but all the wealth belongs to Krishna itself. And he's talking about how it is no use of this material wealth and all, it's of no use at the end. And later on, how to free and detach from this material wealth he is teaching. And later on, when Arjuna came to know that the wealth is of no use, and he surrendered to Krishna. And how to surrender to Krishna, and his teaching is that through the transcendental knowledge and also through the devotional service. This is the message from type 1 and type 2, Prabhuji.
Okay, good try. Thank you. I mean, it's correct in some ways, but not really on the nail, the thing which I expected. Good try. Anit Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I would request Anju Mataji also to unmute, because we never decided who's going to be the group leader and we were only busy discussing. So she will also unmute and both of us will speak together. I mean, I'll just say what I have to say and then she can contribute. So, Prabhuji, while, the obvious meaning is acquirer of wealth. Now, what we have concluded is that in type 1, if we take the type 1, wherever Krishna speaks about Arjuna being addressed as Dhananjay, in every shloka, he talks about his detached nature. He talks about his detachment from wealth in every shloka in type 1. And if we take type 2, in type 2, he talks about his detached nature from the material modes, his detached nature from, something which affects. Anju Mataji need help. Please, you also contribute. I mean,
yeah, Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam. So, two things he wants to convey, addressing him as Dhananjay, saying that even though you are a conqueror of wealth, but you should learn, as just like you are not attached to your wealth, similarly, you should learn not to be attached to the karma bandhan, that is detachment from the karma bandhan. And also, you have to learn to conquer over to be the conqueror of ignorance of the 3 modes of material nature, and he wants him to rise above these 3 modes of material nature.
Okay.
And the conclusion of these 2 would be he acquiring the real wealth, which is the wealth of bhakti.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Good. Mahesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Navnidhi Mataji may compliment me because only 2 of us were actually basically talking about. Anyway, that doesn't mean others did not contribute, others also did it. The first is, I will put it like this, that when it talks about Dhananjay, first type, to me, it is like, all the qualities that Arjuna already has treasured. Like, I will say it is a past life. Like, he treasured many qualities. It is not about wealth. It is not about physical wealth. Yeah. And yeah, number two, he has been detached from all these things. For example, when he was sent to Indra, to to enjoy the Swarga and all that. That time, Indra offers services of Menaka, Urvashi, sorry. But that time he considers her as a mother, and he says that, no, Indra, you are my kind of father, and she's in your court, so she's like my mother. So that much of detachment he had, that qualities that Krishna wants to make him realize that you already are detached. Third thing is that he did not acquire money. I mean, whatever wealth, he did not do it for himself. He did it for Bhagwan, Yudhishthir Maharaj or other persons. So that is one thing, that all the past that, and that time, every time he has been Sangan Tyaktva Dhananjaya. When in second chapter, Bhagavan is telling him, that time also the same thing is said, that you are always detached. So that to me is number type 1. Number 2, when it Bhakti, when he talks about in Bhakti Yoga, like, from chapter 7 to 12. So that time I would consider it like, Bhagavan Shri Krishna wants to make him realize that these are the things that you can still get, like a Bhakta. Like in 12th chapter, Bhagavan Shri Krishna is telling so many, about 38, 39 qualities of Bhakta. So these are the things you will need to acquire to make a real Dhananjay like this. So that is how I would put it. And Bhagavan Shri Krishna also makes him realize that he is the supreme personality of Godhead whenever he's, saying like that. So to me, basically, first thing is about the physical kind of or things. Second thing, bhakti, when it comes to intelligent qualities, mental qualities, and as a bhakta, how many qualities that you can acquire. That is how I would put it, Guruji.
All right, good. Good
One
point.
more point I would like to add, Prabhuji. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Also, in type 2, Krishna establishes his position as supreme personality of Godhead, as well as he gives a strong challenge to the impersonalists, where he always talks about me. He's always talking about himself, and here he's giving a strong challenge to the impersonalists.
All right, good point. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. First type majority people have covered. So further that, detachment where renouncing one's fruit of work does not bound one to his work. So one can be equipoised because we don't lose anything. The soul is not affected. Then in type 2, hearing directly from Krishna or his devotees helps one to get out of illusion and see the truth. Ignorance and illusions gets dispelled. So it qualifies for liberation. Then it makes one transcendental to 3 modes of material nature and helps developing attachment and love for Krishna, and develops desire to attain him because nothing is beyond him.
All right, thank you. All right, last, Vrindarani Mataji.
Hare Krishna. We had similar points as those mentioned. Arjuna is taught in the type 1 verses to be detached and not involved in karma while doing his tasks. And it's also offered the way how to do it by offering his results to Krishna. And we are not able to finish type 2 verses. What I've noticed is that in some of the verses, Krishna is speaking about his greatness, and at the end, he teaches Arjuna to surrender in Bhakti Yoga. What I noticed that in the first verses, he just learning him to be detached, like he's speaking about lower level, like Nishkarma Karma Yoga, and in type 2, he teaches to surrender as devotee.
All right.
I'm not sure if.
Hare Krishna Mataji, nice points. Usha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Sadha Pranam. We tried our best, and few points we like to add is that we came to a conclusion that anything that you do, Krishna is advising, it starts from attentively. That means you start using your buddhi yoga, and then nishkam, whatever, even if you have any success or anything, it has to be, you have to be totally detached, and then it leads to nishkam karma, and finally it leads to bhakti yoga. So this is what our group, from besides whatever was discussed by the other groups.
All right, thank you. Okay, excellent attempts by all of you, and I appreciate the points you mentioned. Many good points. That was good observation. How Krishna is using the word Dhananjaya, and you could also derive nice lessons. Like some of you said that only wealth is not dhana. Arjuna was a winner in many ways. And then some of you said that Krishna is telling you should give all that wealth to me, means adding the bhakti flavor to it, that this wealth which you are winning, it's for me, Arjuna. You should give it to me, offer everything to me. So there were good points. However, two of you really hit on the nail. So type 1 and type 2, these two categories basically talk about what? Krishna, whenever he uses the word Dhananjaya, he wants to tell Arjuna something, much more than what he is saying in the shloka itself. Because Arjuna identifies with that name. That name means something to him. Arjuna has more than 28 names, and Krishna addressing him by a particular name brings Arjuna a particular feeling, or some memory, because that name is associated with some activity or some past or some experience. So when it's called with a particular name, it makes Arjuna think in a particular manner, right? So the type 1, you observed it very correctly, most of you, that whenever Krishna is talking about Nishkama Karma Yoga, he's using the word Dhananjaya. Isn't it? Right? Like one who is doing the duty but is detached, then he says Dhananjaya. So whether it's 2.48, 2.49, 4.41, even 9.9, here also Krishna is talking about detached work. In this context, he's talking about himself, 9.9, that I work, but I don't get affected by the results of my work. Why? Because I'm detached. So wherever the concept of Nishkam Karma Yoga is being told, he uses the word Dhananjaya. Why he uses so? Because Arjuna, in the whole Bhagavad-gita, is finding it difficult to understand that how can I work and still not be affected by the reactions. That's his confusion. How can I fight and not still incur any sin? That's where he started off in chapter 1, right? I am fearful of sinful reactions, so I don't want to fight. So Krishna is trying to convince Arjuna that, Arjuna, you already know the art of working in a detached manner. Why is it that you're confused now on the battlefield? You already know how to work in a detached spirit. You have done that so many times in the past, And then he uses the name Dhananjaya to remind Arjuna, did you not fight selflessly for your brother? Did you not win wealth for your brother? So just like you did it for your brother, now you do it for me in a detached manner, So it's like teaching the person from that person's experience. This is called experiential learning. You make the person learn from his or her own experience. Krishna is using the tool with Arjuna. Arjuna, you know this science. It's just that you are not able to figure it out here on the battlefield. But in the past, you have worked in a detached spirit. You know that past time, that story. Arjuna went to the north, to the Himalayas, because Yudhishthira Maharaj wanted to do a Rajsuya Yajna. He needed a lot of wealth, and he fought with people. He brought the wealth and gave it to Yudhishthira. So Krishna is saying, just the way you acted in a very detached manner that time, now in the battle also act in the same spirit. That's why the word Dhananjaya, type 1. Simple, right? Easy conclusion. And type 2, wherever Krishna has used the word Dhananjaya, other place in Bhagavad-gita, it is to encourage Arjuna that, Arjuna, just like you have won wealth in the past, you'll also win over this battle. Have faith, you will conquer. Like Sanjaya telling, Panchajanyam Rishikesho Devadattam Dhananjaya, 1.15. Why is Sanjay using that word there? Because Sanjay wants to tell Dhritarashtra, just like Arjuna won wealth, he will also win over this battle. Then Krishna using the same name in chapter 11 while showing the universal form. Why? Actually, not Krishna, Sanjay used that name there. Why Sanjay used the same name there again? Again telling Dhritarashtra that this Arjuna who has won wealth will also win over the battle. Then Krishna using the same name in 12.9, 7.7, he wants to tell that, Arjuna, you are a winner of wealth. It's your nature to win. So have faith, have confidence, and because I am with you, so you will win in this battle also. So in one place, he's teaching the science of work with detachment. In another place, he's using the same name to encourage Arjuna. Like when you want to encourage someone, what do you do, Jen? What do you do to that person? What do you tell that person? You can do it, right? It's possible. And this bucks up the person, right? Okay, yes, yes, yes. You get some strength. Yes, I can do it. So by using that name, Krishna is encouraging Arjuna. These two meanings are what do you say, underlying meanings. And of course, one can then derive further more conclusions on the name Dhananjaya and add many things to that. So this is how, yes, Prabhu, this is for your conclusion, Mahesh Prabhu. Yes. So this is how we can very deeply delve into study of Bhagavad-gita. Bhagavad-gita is very artistically spoken by Krishna. You know, it's like there's a logic behind everything he says. There is a reason. All right, I hope you enjoyed the exercise. We can take a break now of 2-3 minutes, then we come back for the next section. Okay, Hare Krishna, welcome back. Next shloka, 9.10. Mayadhyakshena prakritihi suyate sa chalacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. So Krishna says how he is able to stay neutral, because nothing is actually done by him. It is done by his prakriti, under his supervision, adhyakshena. But he is the ultimate cause. However, the immediate cause or the material cause is material nature. Like that he performs. So this is something very important for those who are students of Vedas. They are always looking at the cause of everything. Hetu. What is the hetu? Hetu means cause. So what is the hetu? What's the cause behind everything? And in this way, in their research on this topic, they come to the conclusion that the Supreme Lord, Absolute Truth, is the ultimate cause. Like Brahmaji saying that in his prayers, Ishvara Paramaha Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. That Krishna, Govinda, is the Karana of all Karanas, cause of all causes. There is no cause beyond him. That's the full stop. But there are some people who are in the eyes of many people, they may be very intelligent, like this person, Stephen Hawking. Some people thought he was a genius. But actually, if you look at his explanations, it's full of ignorance, because he considered in his first Nobel Prize winning paper, he considered the Big Bang to be the cause of everything. And then in the second Nobel Prize winning paper, he refuted Big Bang, and then he suggested something known as the grand universe theory. So for such people, a point is the cause. They are okay with accepting a point as Sarva Karana Karana. But Brahmaji is saying, no, there is an absolute sentient being who is very kind, who is full of wonderful qualities, who is brilliantly intelligent, and that person, that being, is the cause of causes. Now it depends on us or any intelligent person. Whom should we go for? Should we go for God, a person, as the source of all, or should we go for a point, some point for the source of all? So it's not really a big bang that caused everything. Our understanding is there's a big brain behind everything, and that brain is Krishna. So there are these two books. If any one of you are interested in cosmology and you want to know how much craziness is there out there in the world, people talking so much about the origin of universe, you can read these two books, very nice books with lots of facts and figures on how modern scientists' understanding of cosmology is really foolishness. So he has written, this is a devotee, a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, who has written these two books, Cosmology on Trial and Stephen Hawking on Trial. And he gives lots of facts on how what the modern scientists call as origin of universe is only some imagination. There is no proof behind it, and even the suggested theories are not logical. The foundation on which they wrote these papers were themselves later on declared as incorrect, and still, because common man doesn't really think much, people accept these theories. However, we understand Krishna is the cause of all causes, right? So that's explained in 9.10. Now we go to the next section, 9.11 to 19, different worshippers and non-worshippers. So first, Krishna starts by talking about the non-worshipper. Avajananti ma mulaha manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Because Arjuna is kind of asking Krishna, if you are the cause of all causes, why is that so many people don't respect you also sufficiently? So Krishna says that this is because they think I am an ordinary human being. Avajananti mamula manushim tanumashrita. There's nothing extraordinary about me. There's nothing special about me. I'm just ordinary human being. Or if some people may also think that Krishna is extraordinary, but again, he is a human being. He is not God. He is not the supreme absolute. He is not the source of all. So people have so many misunderstandings. Now this purport is loaded. Srila Prabhupada, he whenever comes across an opportunity to defeat impersonalism or the stupidity of modern intelligent philosophers, he writes at length, right, to show how they are wrong. the translation is, fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the Supreme Lord of all that be. They do not know my transcendental nature as the Supreme Lord of all that be. It's a very long purport. We will read it in parts. Hanit Mataji, you can read the first few paragraphs, and then the next person can read the next few paragraphs. Yes, Mataji.
Hare
I'm
Krishna.
scrolling it up. Okay.
Purport from the other explanations of the previous verses in this chapter, it is clear that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although appearing like a human being, is not a common man. The personality of Godhead who conducts the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the complete cosmic manifestation cannot be a human being. Yet there are many foolish men who consider Krishna to be merely a powerful man and nothing more. Actually, he is the original Supreme Personality, as is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita, 𝗪𝗏 Paramaha Krishnaha. He is the Supreme Lord. There are many Ishwaras, controllers, and one appears greater than the other. In the ordinary management of affairs in the material world, we find some official or director, and above him there is a secretary, and above him a minister, and above him a president. Each one of them is a controller, but one is controlled by another. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that Krishna is the supreme controller. There are many controllers undoubtedly, both in the material and in the spiritual world, but Krishna is the supreme controller, 𝗪𝗏 Parama Krishna, and his body is Satchitanand, non-material. Material bodies cannot perform the wonderful acts described in the previous verses. His body is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. Although he is not a common man, the foolish deride him and consider him to be a man. His body is called the Manushim because he is acting just like a man, a friend of Arjuna's, a politician involved in the battle of Kurukshetra. In so many ways, he is acting just like an ordinary man, but actually his body is Satchitananda Vigraha, eternal bliss and knowledge absolute. This is confirmed in the Vedic language also. Satchitananda Rupaya Krishnaya, I offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is the eternal blissful form of knowledge. Gopala Tapani Upanishad 1.1. There are other descriptions in the Vedic language also. Tam Ekam Govindam, you are Govinda, the pleasure of the senses and the cows. Satchitananda Vigraham, and your form is transcendental, full of knowledge, bliss, and eternality. Gopal Tapani Upanishad 1.35. Despite the transcendental qualities of Lord Krishna's body, its full bliss and knowledge, there are many so-called scholars and the commentators of Bhagavad-gita who deride Krishna as an ordinary man. The scholar may be born an extraordinary man due to his previous good work, but his conception of Sri Krishna is due to a poor fund of knowledge. Therefore, he is called Mudha. For only foolish persons consider Krishna to be an ordinary human being. The foolish consider Krishna an ordinary human being because they do not know the confidential activities of the Supreme Lord and his different energies. They do not know that Krishna's body is a symbol of complete knowledge and bliss, that he is the proprietor of everything that be, and that he can award liberation to anyone. Because they do not know that Krishna has so many transcendental qualifications, they deride him. Nor do they know that...
Someone else can read. No, someone else can read. It's a very long purpose, so you can announce next person to read. Next, Arati Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yeah. Nor do they know that the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this material world is a manifestation of his internal energy. He is the master of the material. He's a master of the material energy, as has been explained in several places. Mama Maya Duratyaya. he claims that the material energy, although very powerful, is under his control, and whoever surrenders unto him can get out of the control of this material energy. If a soul surrendered to Krishna can get out of the influence of material energy, then how can the Supreme Lord, who conducts the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the whole cosmic nature, have a material body like us? So this conception of Krishna is complete foolishness. Foolish persons, however, cannot conceive that the personality of Godhead Krishna, just like an ordinary, all the atoms and I'm not able to see all the atoms and the gigantic manifestation of the universal form. The biggest and the minutest are beyond their conception. So they cannot imagine that a form like that of a human being can simultaneously control the infinite and the minute. Actually, although he is controlling the infinite and the finite, he is apart from all the manifestations. It is clearly stated concerning his yogam aishwaryam, his inconceivable transcendental energy, that he can control the infinite and the finite simultaneously, and that he can remain aloof from them. Although the foolish cannot imagine how Krishna, who appears just like a human being, can control the infinite and the finite, those who are pure devotees accept this, for they know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, they completely surrender unto him and engage in Krishna consciousness, devotional service of the Lord.
All right, thank you. Next, everybody can continue. David Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Your Grace. There are many controversies between the impersonality and the personalists about the Lord's appearance in human being. But if we consult Bhagavad-gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, the authoritative text for understanding the signs of Krishna, then we can understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is not an ordinary man, although he appeared in this earth as an ordinary human. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, first chapter, when the sage, headed by Swanaka, inquires about the activities of Krishna, they said, Kritavam Kira Kalmani Saha Namina Kishava Atim Matyani Bhagavan Gudha Kapata Manusa. Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, along with Balaram, play like a human being, and he performed many superhuman acts. Bhagavad-gita 1.2.20. The Lord appearance as a human, bewildered of foolish. No human being could perform the wondrous act that Krishna performed where he was present on earth. When Krishna appeared before the father and mother, Vasudeva and Devaki, he appeared with 4 hands, but after playing of parents, he transformed himself into an ordinary child. As stated in the Bhagavatam 10.3.46, Bahuva Prakita Sahu, he became just like an ordinary child, an ordinary human being. Now here again, it indicated that the Lord appeared as an ordinary human being, as one of the features of his transcendental body. In the 11th canto of Bhagavad-gita, as it is stated that Arjuna played to see Krishna form of 4 hands, Tanaiva Rupana Chatul Bhujana. After revealing his form, Krishna, when petitioned by Arjuna, again assumed his original woman-like form, Manusam Rupam. These different features of the Supreme Lord are certainly not those of an ordinary human being. Some of those who derived Krishna and who are infected with Mayavadi philosophy quote the following verses from Srimad Bhagavatam 3.29.21 to prove that Krishna is just an ordinary man. Aham Salvashu Bhutashu Bhutataman Vastata Sada. The Supreme is present in every living entity. We should better take note of these particular verses from Vaishnava acharyas like Jiva Goswami and Vishvanatha Chakravarti Thakura, instead of following the interpretation of unauthorized person who derived Krishna. Jiva Goswami commenting on this verse, saying that Krishna in his primary expansion is Paramatma, is situated in moving and non-moving entities as the supersoul. So any neophyte devotee who simply give this attention to Achamuti, the form of Supreme Lord in the temple, and does not respect other living entities, is useless worshipping the form of Lord in the temple. There are 3 kinds of devotees of the Lord, and the Phoenite is the lowest stage. The Phoenite devotee give more attention to the deities in the temple than to other devotees. So Vishvanatha Chakravarti Thakura warned that this sort of mentality should be corrected. A devotee should see that because of Krishna is present in every heart of Paramatma, everybody is embodiment or temple of the Supreme Lord. So as one offer respect to the temple Lord, he should similarly properly respect everybody in which the Paramatma dwells. Everyone should therefore be given proper respect and should not be neglected.
All right, well, thank you. So, Prabhupada finally in the last paragraph talks about temple worship. Anyway, this is a very important point because, even as practitioners of Krishna consciousness, we may not really understand Krishna's position. This is what Prabhupada is going to point in the next purport. He says, we'll read that. He says, many practitioners of Krishna consciousness also not know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They still think Krishna to be an ordinary human. How it manifests is not so blunt that someone will say God is only ordinary human, but how it manifests is in our behavior, in our emotions, in our thinking. Like in India, you have seen so many people, they will, if they have given birth to a child, then they'll start calling the child Krishna as if that child is really Krishna, and they'll say, we will celebrate this child's Nandotsava or birthday, and they will say, this is my Krishna. That is only mere sentiments. It has got nothing to do with devotional service. A devotee never compares Krishna to any ordinary human, even if that human happens to be one's own child. One can never do that. One has to very clearly understand Krishna's position as the Supreme Lord. That's why comparing Krishna to another human is offensive. Whether that human is one's guru, whether that human is one's child, whether that human is some extraordinary character, cannot be compared, incomparable. So his unique position as the absolute truth has to be firmly understood. not just from material sentiments point of view that we like Krishna because Krishna looks so nice, he's so good. No, we understand in Tattva that he is the absolute, and that's why we worship him. However, because Krishna's pastimes in his avatar as Krishna or in many avatars is so bewildering, many times very intelligent people also begin to take Krishna as an ordinary human. When they see Krishna's activities, when they see the activities of Krishna in different avatars, because the way he talks, the way he behaves, it looks so normal, so ordinary. So his extraordinary nature gets hidden. Like this story from Ramayana, just to explain to you how even very learned people can get confused and bewildered. From Ramayana and Valmiki Ramayana, it is mentioned that when Mother Sita got attracted to that golden deer, she made a request to Lord Ramachandra, please bring this deer to me. In Valmiki Ramayana, it is said just before that incident happened, Sita had already entered into fire and she got she got exchanged with an illusory form of Sita. So what came out of the fire was Maya Sita, an illusory Sita, and the original Sita went into fire. So that Maya Sita requested the Lord for the golden deer, and the Lord said that this is some illusion created by a demon, don't go for that deer. But Mother Sita said, no, I badly want that deer, please get it. So Lord Ram leaves from that place. He asks Lakshmana to stay behind to protect Sita. And when Lord Ram is gone, in Ramayana, if you have seen, that Marich, who had disguised himself as a deer, he started shouting loudly, Lakshmana, Sita, and in the voice of Ram. So Sita thought Ram is in danger. She told Lakshmana, please go help your brother. Lakshmana said, my dear mother, how can Ram be in danger? He's the supreme, he is all powerful, no one can do anything to him. But Sita was overwhelmed by emotions. She said, no, don't you hear? He's calling out for help. So you should go and help. What kind of brother you are? And Lakshman tried to convince Sita that, please, I know who Ram is and nothing can happen to him. So at that time, then Sita, she used some very harsh words. She put an allegation on Lakshmana's character. She said that, I know now you have a wrong intention. You came all the way to forest because you wanted to see something happen to Ram in an accident, and then you can take me as your wife. This is what you wanted. And when Lakshmana heard that, he was so disheartened. He was broken. He was thinking, how can you speak so? I always saw you as a mother and you are thinking like that. Then he told Mother Sita, if you are not a woman, if you're not in a woman's body, I would have killed you for saying so. But then because you are in a woman's body, I forgive you. Don't worry. I won't do anything to you. So I'll go and you stay here protected. Lakshman goes, he meets Ram. Ram is coming back and Ram asks, why did you come? And Lakshman says, your wife told me to come because she was putting allegation on me. And then Lord Ramchandra said, she is fool, you are a greater fool. She is fool because she's thought like that, and you are a greater fool because you became angry and you left that place. You should not have left that place. You should have tolerated, and Lakshman said, how could I tolerate? Here you are saying protect Sita. Sita is saying protect Ram. I was not able to decide. So then Ram comes back and then he finds Sita is not there in the cottage. So Ram was thinking that she has been eaten up by some Rakshasa, because in the past it had happened that many Rakshasas, they tried to steal away Sita, kidnap her, eat her. So Ram was thinking she's eaten up, and he was crying. But he was also having hope that maybe Sita is lost. She has lost her way. Or he was thinking maybe she is sitting in some place hiding, or she is angry, so she is gone. So if you read Ramayana, 10 chapters are given in Ramayana where Lord Ram is searching for Sita. And how is he searching? He is searching like a madman. He is asking trees, he's asking birds, he's asking river, he's asking creepers, he's asking deers, he's asking the wind, where is Sita? Any person who reads Ramayana at that time will think there is no human in the history of mankind who could be more attached to his wife than this man called Ram. even if people, they lose their wife, they will maybe think, okay, fine, now she's gone, forget her. Now, but here Ram, he is gone to that extent of craziness that he's asking trees. He would go and ask the tree. Have you seen Sita? Ramayana says, because of the wind, the tree would, get shaken. The branches would move, the leaves would move. So Lord Ram would look at Lakshman and say, he's saying, no, he has not seen. No, he has not seen Sita. So when people saw that sight, they thought, this cannot be God. Cannot be God. At that time, it is mentioned, Lord Shiva was visiting Agastya Muni in the southern direction. There is an Agastya cave in the southern India. So Lord Shiva was visiting Agastya and he was coming back from that cave, going to Himalayas. So from the aerial view, he saw Lord Ramachandra behaving in this way. He knew Lord Ramachandra is the Supreme Lord. So he, standing from there, offered obeisances to Lord Ram. He did not want to come down and offer obeisances, because if he does that, the whole world will know that this Ram is not a human, he's God. And this will then create trouble, because Ravana was given the boon by Brahmaji, only a human can kill you or a monkey can kill you. Demigods or gods cannot kill you. So if the world comes to know that Ram is God, or Ravana comes to know that Ram is God, then the whole plan will get spoiled. So Shiva wanted to hide Ram's identity, that this is not God, this is human. So from the sky up there, he offered pranams to Lord Ramachandra. His wife Sati told Shiva, are you crazy? Have you gone mad? Why are you offering pranams to this ordinary human? Look at him. He's searching for his wife as if he is a henpecked husband. I have not seen anyone more henpecked like him. So Sati was actually accusing Lord Shiva for losing his brain, that this person, Shiva, does not know whom to offer obeisances. So Lord Shiva said, no, Sati, this is Sachidananda. This is Bhagavan. Sati said, Bhagavan cannot be like that. Shiva said, okay, you want to test? Go test him. So Sati said, no, if I test, you will go to Himalaya. Shiva said, no, I'll wait for you. He said, there's a tree sitting, you can see, I'll sit below the tree, you go and do your business and come. So Sati said, okay. So Ramayana says, Sati went there to test Lord Ramachandra. She disguised herself as a Sita, and she stood on the way, on the path where Lord Ram was walking, moving ahead. She stood there. She was thinking, when Ram will come and see me, Ram will be so happy. Oh, Sita, we were looking for you. At last we found you. And he would try to embrace me. He would be very happy. But when Lord Ramachandra came there, Lord Ramachandra looked at Sati and said, oh, Devi, why are you walking alone? Where is your husband? And then Sati was like, what? My husband? So she then realized that this person has identified, I am not Sita. Then he said, where is Lord Shiva? I don't see him. So that time Sati came back to censure, serious. I did a big mistake. She asked for forgiveness and she left and went back to Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva said, so what did you do? She said, no, I did not do anything. You must have done something. Did you try to test him? And because now she didn't want to show that she was a fool, she said, no, I did not test. I just went there to offer my obeisances. I offered obeisance, I came back. You told me that he is Bhagavan, so why should I doubt? So you see, people like Sati, such a great goddess, she can get bewildered looking at the activities of the Lord and think he is a human. So what to speak of people like us? When we read the scriptures, we may also doubt. This cannot be God. Or God is just like us, the way he feels, the way he thinks, the way he does. But it's not the same. It is different. It's very different. And this topic, though it may seem to be very simplistic, that now I've understood Krishna is Bhagavan, is not that simple. One has to be very convinced that he is not human. He's not like us. We are not like him, There is a difference of just like the difference between land and sky. And this shloka points that. But many great scholars, they have difficulty understanding it. And that's why Prabhupada has written such a lengthy purport explaining that Krishna is Bhagavan. So Krishna in the next verse will say, what happens to those who do not accept reality or this truth? And this is very important because, Prabhupada has some very interesting statements. He says, to accept God is as a man, and to accept man as God is rascaldom. Suppose you say, I don't believe in God. Who has given you the power to say this? Therefore, an atheist must be a first-class foolish man. So Prabhupada has very heavy statements in regards to that. Like once one person came and told some of Prabhupada's disciples, I am God. So Prabhupada told the disciples, you take the shoes from the shoe rack and then beat that person. And then you'll come to know whether he's God or not. If he's God, he'll not scream. So if he's not God, he will scream. So this is how you test that person if he's God or not. So Prabhupada was very heavy, and he was also very straightforward when it came to such topic, like people saying that they are God. Now, what happens to those who do not believe? Krishna says, Moga asha moga karmano moga jnana vichetasaha. If you are a devotee and you do not accept Krishna as the Supreme Person, then the devotee will not go to spiritual abode. Not possible. If someone is a karmi and that person doesn't accept Krishna as a person, then that person will never go to heaven. No fruits will be acquired. If someone is a Jnana Yogi or Ashtanga Yogi and that person does not accept Krishna as a person, that person will never actually get liberation. Krishna says that. So it's so important to understand this point, that he is a person. Translation: those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demoniac and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge all are defeated. So Prabhupada, Krishna himself is saying here that that person gets no benefit, no benefit at all. Let's read this purport, just the first paragraph. Who will read? Bhakti Mataji, please read.
There are many devotees who assume themselves to be in Krishna consciousness and devotional service, but at heart do not accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna as the absolute truth. For them, the fruit of devotional service, going back to Godhead, will never be tasted. Similarly, those who are engaged in fruitive pious activities are those. Prabhuji, can you take it a little up? Those who are ultimately hoping to be liberated from this material entanglement will never be successful either, because they deride the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, as in other words, persons who mock Krishna are to be understood to be demoniac or atheistic. As described in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, such demonic miscreants never surrender to Krishna. Therefore, their mental speculations to arrive at the absolute truth bring them to the false conclusion that the ordinary living entity and Krishna are one and the same. With such a false conviction, they think that the body of any human being is now simply covered by material nature, and that as soon as one is liberated from this material body, there is no difference between God and himself. This attempt to become one with Krishna will be baffled because of such delusion. Such atheistic and demoniac cultivation of spiritual knowledge is always futile. That is the indication of this verse. For such persons, cultivation of the knowledge in the Vedic literature, like the Vedanta Sutra and the Upanishad, is always baffled. It is a great offense, therefore, to consider Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to be an ordinary man. Those who do so are certainly deluded, because they cannot understand the eternal form of Krishna. The Brihad Vishnu Smriti clearly states, Yo veti bhautikam deham Krishnasya paramatmanaha sa sarvasmad bhagavadgita. Yo Shrutra Samrata Vidhantataha Mukham Tasya Valokyapi Sachelam Snanam Acharete. One who considers the body of Krishna to be material should be driven out of all rituals and activities of the Smriti and of the Shruti and the Smriti. And if one by chance sees his face, one should at once take bath in the Ganges to rid himself of infection. People jeer at Krishna because they are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Their destiny is certainly to take birth after birth in the species of atheistic and demoniac life. Perpetually, their real knowledge will remain under delusion, and gradually they will regress to the darkest region of creation.
So very interesting, like the scriptures go to the extent of telling that if you see the face of such a person who don't accept Krishna as a person, you should immediately jump into the Ganges and purify yourself. so, you know, it's like this is an extreme statement that it makes one so impure just to see such a person who does not accept Krishna as the Supreme Lord. Now Krishna talks about the opposite category. Mahatmanastu maham partha devim prakritim ashritaha bhajanti ananya manaso gyatva bhuta dimavvyayam. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. So in this, the word Mahatma is very nicely glorified or explained. What does a Mahatma do? That is explained in the next shloka. What are the activities of a Mahatma? Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridavataha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. 4 things a Mahatma does. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. 4 things, right? Always chanting my glories. A Mahatma or a great soul doesn't become tired hearing about Krishna and speaking about Krishna. Then endeavoring with great determination, because these activities are not easily performed in a continuous manner. One needs determination to do them over and over, day and night, you know, for many, many decades, or for one's whole life, to get the success, spiritual success. Bowing down before me means always being respectful towards me, and they perpetually worship me with devotion. They're always engaged in my seva, in devotional service. So these are the qualities of a Mahatma. This is how a Mahatma is known. Achyuta and Prabhu, you can read the purport.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Purport. Mani Upuktam. The Mahatma cannot be manufactured by robber stamping an ordinary man. His symptoms are described as a Mahatma is always engaged in chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He has no other business. He is always engaged in the glorification of the Lord. In other words, he is not an impersonalist. When the question of glorification is there, one has to glorify the Supreme Lord, praising His holy name, His eternal form, His transcendental qualities, and His uncommon pastimes. One has to glorify all these things. Therefore, a Mahatma is attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who is attached to the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmajyoti, is not described as Mahatma in the Bhagavad-gita. He is described in a different way in a next verse. The Mahatma is always engaged in different activities of the devotional service as described in Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing and chanting about Vishnu, not a demigod, a human being. That is devotion, Shravanam, Kirtanam Vishnu, and Smaranam, remembering him. Such a Mahatma has firm determination to achieve at the ultimate end and the association of the Supreme Lord in any way of the 5 transcendental rasas. To achieve that success, he engages all activities, mental, bodily, and vocal, everything, in the service of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. That is called full Krishna consciousness. In devotional service, there are certain activities which are called determined, such as fasting on certain days, like the 11th day of the moon, Ekadashi, and on the appearance of the Lord. All these rules and regulations are offered by the great Acharya for those who are actually interested in getting admission into the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the transcendental world. The Mahatmas Great souls strictly observe all these rules and regulations and therefore are sure to achieve the desired result. Shall I continue, bro?
Stop you there. Thank you. So this
Okay,
is
thank you.
how a Mahatma is. A Mahatma is known by activities. Prabhupada in the beginning writes, you cannot create a Mahatma or manufacture a Mahatma by rubber stamping that person. This he speaks in context of Mahatma Gandhi, because Mahatma Gandhi was given this title of being a Mahatma. So he says that you cannot rubber stamp any person and then call that person as Mahatma. Just like that, it doesn't happen. That person should have the qualities of a Mahatma. Uh, that person should be doing these things like what Krishna mentioned, the four activities. Now, regarding Mahatma Ji, because we in India, we respect him a lot, and actually the whole world respects him a lot. But let's see what Prabhupada got to say to him in a letter. It's a very interesting letter which Srila Prabhupada wrote to Gandhiji on December 7, 1947. I am not sharing the entire letter with you all because it's a long letter. I'll later on share it in the WhatsApp group and you can read it at your free time. But we'll look at the spirit of Srila Prabhupada. You know, he is not a person who just talks. In Bhagavad-gita, whatever he writes in the purport, he lived that. And he expected others who are students of Bhagavad-gita also to live like that. Not just be academic scholars of Bhagavad-gita, but their life should be based on Bhagavad-gita. So Prabhupada, he writes to Gandhiji. Now Gandhiji was not an ordinary person. Gandhiji was very influential, very powerful, very famous. But Srila Prabhupada, also being very bold, he had the guts to write to these personalities and speak the truth. Because Prabhupada thought himself as a friend of Gandhi, Prabhupada wrote a very nice letter to Gandhi, you know, to request him to take to the message of Gita seriously in his life. Yes, as you mentioned, this letter is also given in 𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏. You'll find the whole letter in 𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏, but we'll just read a part of it now. Dear friend Mahatma Ji, please accept my respectful namaskar. I am your unknown friend, but I had to write to you at times. And again, although you never cared to reply them. I sent you my papers back to Godhead, but your secretaries told me that you have very little time to read the letters and much less for reading the magazines. I asked for an interview with you, but your busy secretaries never cared to reply this. Anyway, as I am your very old friend, although unknown to you, I am writing to you in order to bring you to the rightful position deserved by you. As a sincere friend, I must not deviate from my duty towards a friend like your good self. I tell you as a sincere friend that you must immediately retire from active politics if you do not want to die in an inglorious death. Now, please note, Prabhupada writes this letter in 1947 December, and Mahatma Gandhi was shot the next year, just after a few months. So Prabhupada says, if you don't want to die an inglorious death, then you should immediately retire from active politics. You have 125 years to live. That's what his astrological chart said. As you have desired to live, but if you die an inglorious death, it is no worth. Further, he writes, the honor and prestige that you have obtained during the course of your present lifetime were not possible to be obtained by anyone else within the living memory. But you must know that all these honors and prestiges were false in as much as they were created by the illusory energy of Godhead called the Maya. It's like slapping someone on the face, telling that person, yes, you are famous, but that is all Maya. I would only request you to retire from politics, at least for a month only, and let us have discussion on the Bhagavad-gita. I am sure thereby that you shall get a new light from the result of such discussions, not only for your benefit, but for the benefit of the world at large, as I know that you are sincere, honest, and a moralist. Awaiting your early reply with interest, yours sincerely, 𝗹𝗶𝗶 Day. That time Prabhupada was still in Grihastha ashram, so his name was 𝗹𝗶𝗶 Day. He wrote this letter to Gandhiji, the father of modern India, and he's saying that your fame and name is a creation of Maya. You should seriously take to the study of Gita. in another letter, he also mentioned him, you should preach Bhagavad-gita if you really want to do something nice for yourself and for the country. So that's what Prabhupada believed in, and that's what he preached very strongly. Mahatma means one who does these things. Then that person becomes glorious. Otherwise, that person is not glorious. Now, something very interesting I would like to share with you about Gandhiji. If you visit Gandhi's Samadhi, which is in New Delhi, you'll find that on his Samadhi, there is written, Hey Ram. People think when Gandhiji died, he uttered the name of Lord Ramachandra. He said, Hey Ram, oh Ram. However, now if I ask you as a student, sincere student of Bhagavad-gita, what you have studied, reflect on this. As per Gita's message, for one to remember God at the final moment, one must practice remembering him throughout one's life. Isn't it? That's what we studied in chapter 8, in the verses 5, 6, 7, and 8. Gandhiji was heavily involved in politics. So would he get to favorably remember God at the final moment and enter into the spiritual abode? If we understand Gita properly, not just sentimentally, then we would know that Gandhiji would not get to remember Ram or Krishna or anyone at the moment of death, because he was not really into bhakti. He was more into using, the concepts of Gita to promote his own ideas about unity and peace and love and whatever it is, right? So many people then they think, how then Gandhiji thought about Ramachandra at the end of his life? How could he say, Hey Ram, if he was not a devotee? He should be a very good devotee, that's why he did. However, this image which you see, it has a lot of, conceit or cheating involved, because it was published in newspaper, and this has been spoken by many people. I can even share with you the exact facts with references. So Gandhiji, he was, that Gandhiji was shot by Nathuram Godse. And Nathuram Godse had a brother whose name was Gopal Godse. And Gopal Godse was at that spot where Gandhi was assassinated. So Gopal Godse in an interview said, Gandhi never said Hey Ram when he was shot. Not only did he say so, Gandhi's personal assistant, whose name is Venkata Kalyanam, at the age of 83, he revealed to the world, to the politics, that Gandhi did not say Ram at the end of his life. This was published in Economic Times in January 2006, that Gandhi did not say Hey Ram. So why was this then contrived? This was contrived for a political agenda, that Gandhi was a supporter of Hinduism. Because though Gandhi, he said that I don't support Hindus, neither do I support Muslims. For me, both are same, and India should be united. We should not have a separate Pakistan. We should have India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, all together, Hindus and Muslims living together. But then there were some people who were bent upon breaking India and splitting into parts. So Indian politicians wanted to tell the message out that Gandhi, in his heart, he was a Hindu. And why was he Hindu? Because at the moment of his death, he did not say Allah, he said Ram, which means he was a Hindu. He was not a Muslim, or he did not really support Islam. So there was a political agenda behind preaching that Gandhi was remembering Lord Ramachandra at the end of his death. From Gita, we understand otherwise. It's not that easy to remember the Supreme Lord at the moment of death. For that, one has to be engaged in activities of Krishna consciousness, which a Mahatma does, right? Mentioned there in that verse, 9.14. Now, let's go to the last verse for today, 9.15. Jnana yagyena chapyanne yajanto mam upasate ekatvena pritatvena bahuda vishvato mukham. Others who engage in sacrifice by the cultivation of knowledge worship the Supreme Lord as the one without a second, as diverse in many and in the universal form. Little shift in topic here for you to understand it better. Let me show the slide. Krishna mentions about indirect worship in this verse 9.15. No, so with this slide will end. You can look at this table, study for yourself. There are 5 types of worshippers mentioned in Bhagavad-gita. The top one is pure devotee. The next one is Sukritinaha. Next one is Vishvatomukham. Next one is Prithaktvena. Next one is Ekatvena. In Sanskrit, 5 names. In English, pure devotee, mixed devotee, Jnani. So verse 9.15 talks about Jnani Bhakta. Okay. Where does in Gita we come to know about these personalities? The column number 3 talks about that, the different shlokas where we studied about them. Jnanis are of 3 types: Vishwarup Upasana, Paritikoupasana, and Angropasana. I know this may sound a lot to you, but still you can later on go through the table at your ease. Try to study this whole thing. Technically in English, these terms are those who worship only the Supreme Lord and they believe that God is one only. That is called monotheism. Vaishnavas are monotheists. But then those who worship the universe, they follow pantheism. Everything is God. God is everywhere. Stone is God, tree is God, river is God, dog is God, everything is God. Then those who believe in demigod worship, which means God manifests himself in different forms and all these forms are God. That is called polytheism. And those who believe that I am same as God, that's called monism, ekatvena. So Krishna talks about these 3 kinds of jnanis in 9.15 and he'll elaborate them further. So the shlokas we'll do in next class will be about worshippers of universal form and worshippers of demigods. Okay, so the first is direct worship, the second one is indirect worship. With this, I'll end here. Any questions or comments from the class today? I know some of the topics that we discussed today were quite heavy. You may have to go through the recording again to understand. So any questions or comments? Yes, Guru Mahi-Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam. My question is, yesterday also we learned that Sri Krishna is not equal to the Kshirodakshai Vishnu or the considered as the Paramatma, and even the Balarama itself is not equal to Krishna, as we learned from the Keshi demon that day when he wanted to wear the Krishna's dress form also. That also from there we also learned that Balarama itself is not equal to Krishna itself. But now in our sampradaya, that the Krishna and the Guru Tattva, that means our spiritual master, should be treated as equal and it should be considered as 2 parallel lines. How to understand this properly? Probably can you please enlighten us on this one?
Okay, so your question is that how do we understand the Guru should be seen, should be treated as God if no one is same as God, or no one is equal to God?
Yes, probably. Yeah.
So the understanding is very simple. The scriptures say that you respect that person as if that person is God, not that you really start seeing that person as God. So we don't do that. Like for example, in our altar, we don't keep the Guru only. We worship Radha Krishna, we worship Gaunita, we worship Jagannath, we worship Krishna Balaram, we worship Lord Ramachandra, we worship Nrsimhadev, we worship Lord Vishnu. Not that, okay, because Guru is God, then we don't worship God at all. Just keep the pictures of Guru everywhere. That's the wrong approach, right? So our understanding is, because the spiritual master or Guru is helping us to understand God, helping us to serve God, is a via medium to reach God, we respect him a lot. How much we respect him? We respect him as much as we would respect God, because he is a representative of God. Just like if you want to respect a country, you respect a government official of that country. That's like respecting the country or respecting the policies and the laws made by the country. But that doesn't mean that you start thinking this person is the prime minister, this person is the president. That's a wrong understanding. So even if we worship Guru or we respect Guru, we don't really say that Guru is Bhagavan or Guru is God. And that's why I don't need to worship God. I just worship my Guru. That's a wrong understanding. Offering respect has got nothing to do with the identification. It said you should respect everyone. Vaishnavas, they respect everyone. They even respect ants, they even respect trees, they even respect animals, birds, right? They respect all. However, they know that not all are Bhagavan. So for Krishna, one has a very special feeling, or one has a very special level of surrender. For Guru, that surrender is there because that Guru is a representative of Krishna. That's all. It's like I cannot offer my respects directly to God, so I am offering my respects to Guru, who will pass it on to God. The Guru cannot keep it. So the Guru becomes only a medium. If I want to give you some rupees, if I cannot give you directly, then I'll give it to someone who can give it to you. But then ultimately the money should come to you. So similarly, Vaishnavas, they go to God via the medium of Guru, because the Guru is very close to God. In that way, they respect the Guru. But it's not that they think Guru is the ultimate thing. No, that's why in our society, we don't see Prabhupada tell us that you should only chant my name, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Like there are organizations where people just whole day they are chanting Jai Gurudev, Jai Gurudev, Jai Gurudev. No, he said, you chant Hare Krishna. So there is this subtle difference. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Surya Kama.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Sadha Pranam. Prabhuji, in one of the chapters, we read that there are 4 types of people, Artha, Jnani, Artharthi, and now we are saying 5 types of Bhaktas. What is the difference between these 2 categories?
That 4 categories which you studied, that is already displayed in the table, no? They all come in one category, which is mixed devotee.
Okay. Okay, I understood.
Right? They all come in one category, mixed devotee. And then this table shows you all 5 kinds of worshippers mentioned in Bhagavad-gita. So it is pure devotee, mixed devotee, and Gyanis. Gyanis are also worshippers, just that they are not worshipping directly, but indirectly they worship the Supreme Lord. So they are also categorized as worshippers. However, it's not the right way of worship, you know. So that's why there are 5 kinds, broad categories, 5 broad categories of worshippers spoken about in Bhagavad-gita. Okay, Vrindarani Mataji.
Hare Krishna. I didn't properly understood when you were explaining connection between type 2 verses in which Krishna calls Arjuna as Dhananjaya. I didn't understood on which base Krishna is encouraging Arjuna. Is he reminding him that he is by his side, or he's reminding Arjuna of his own greatness? The reason why I'm asking this is because when I was reading the purport of verse 9, the last part, the living entities take their different forms in the various species of life according to their past deeds, and the Lord doesn't interfere with them. Closed quotation. I had a sort of disturbance. For example, you explained this case with Mataji Kirtida, I think that was her name, how calm he was when this situation of shooting her friend happened. But it's not the reality for most of us. It's a process, and I think although we know that all we are going through is our karma, still we need a sort of support from Krishna, and knowing that he's neutral, I don't know, cause a sort of disturbance in my mind.
Yeah, okay. So now first to your question of type 2, Krishna encouraging Arjuna by calling him the name Dhananjaya. The type 2 verses are not just only Krishna's statements, there are also statements of Sanjaya where Arjuna has been referred to as Dhananjaya. So all those statements Krishna is using, or Sanjaya is using this name to give out the message that as Arjuna has won wealth, he's also going to win over in this battle. Okay, so because he's a winner, you know, he's a winner. So the way he has won wealth, he will also be a winner in this battle. So Krishna is encouraging Arjuna by using that name. Or Sanjay is using that name to tell Dhritarashtra the message that Arjuna is going to win, or the Pandavas are going to win. So that message is different from type 1. Type 1 was showing that how Arjuna should learn to work in a detached manner, the way he has worked in the past. Okay. Same name, same meaning, but then the way it is used a bit different. In one place, it is used to encourage him by showing him that he has this quality of being victorious. There can be so many reasons of him being victorious. One reason can be, yes, he's very skillful and expert, but the more important reason is that he is always supported by Krishna. So whichever reason Arjuna takes, that's his take on it. But the point is, he's a winner. Now, second thing, when I told you that story, you said Krishna is neutral in all those situations. So how should we take it? Very simple, no? It's just like when we are going through an ordeal, we are having some big problem in our life. Because we get so much involved in it, we think it's really big. But if you observe that problem 5 years later, or if you just observe that problem from a distance, you yourself will not be so much affected by it. It's just because you are participating in it and you are too much engrossed in it. That's why that situation is emotionally pulling you apart. But if you look at it from a distance, then you won't get so much affected. So Krishna, when he is observing us going through such ordeals in life, he is seeing from a different perspective. He doesn't just see the body, he also sees the soul. And when he sees the soul, he knows that this soul is not really suffering, only because that soul is attaching itself to the body, and the body is going through a painful experience. So the soul is identifying with that. It's just like, let's say, to give an example, as a mother, if you have seen your child sometimes fall when he or she was learning to walk, the child would cry. So do you really feel very sad for that child at that time? No, you tell the child, no, beta, no, come on, my dear child, that's okay, it happens, don't cry, nothing serious has happened, and then you just kind of console the child, isn't it? Not that you start lamenting, oh, my child, he fell and he might have broken his legs, he might have broken his knees, he will never be able to walk again. You don't go thinking like that, isn't it? It's normal that it just happens. You take it very lightly. Of course, you'll be affectionate, you'll sympathize with the child, but you'll not take it very seriously. However, for the child, because the child is going through that experience, is a very big thing. So the child will cry as if this is the end of the world, this is a major accident that has happened, but nothing has happened, it just fallen for a while, and will again stand up and start playing. We'll forget also immediately that something like that happened. So just like we remain non-calent in such situations, Krishna remains non-calent with what we go through, because Krishna knows it's only momentary. It's only momentary, right? Because he sees from the higher perspective. It's just momentary. That's why it doesn't mean that he is he does not care. But the point is, he understands that this is not really a very serious issue. It's just a passing phase. You will go through it and then you'll forget it. Okay? So Krishna is neutral in that way, as Paramatma. As Bhagavan is not neutral. We'll study that in later verses. As Paramatma, when he talks about neutrality, that's his quality as Paramatma, because he's playing the role of a judge. As a judge, he has to be neutral. As a judge, he has to be neutral. But as a loving father or mother, he is not neutral. Like, to give you an example, if a person has committed a crime, and that person's father happens to be the judge in the court, so the child has done the crime and the father happens to be the judge in the court. The father will go to the court and the father will do the duty of giving the punishment to the child. Correct? isn't it? Because the father knows that this is my role as a judge. I cannot really cheat here. But after that father comes out of the court, the father may shed a tear of, pain or sorrow, because after all, that was his child, isn't it? So
Yeah.
Krishna as Paramatma is neutral, because he has to, take care of everyone. So if I did something wrong towards someone else, that someone else is also Krishna's. So while I'm punished, Krishna is actually, sympathizing with that other person who is the victim, isn't it? So it's not that person is not Krishna's and I am Krishna's. Everyone is his. So if someone slaps, who slaps? Krishna's son slaps. Who gets slapped? Krishna's another son or child gets slapped. So that's why he is neutral in those situations, like sorting out the exchanges between different people, their karma. But then he feels, ultimately, if you look at it from a unbiased form, in an unbiased way, then Krishna feels for the sorrow or the suffering. Okay. Yes, Mataji.
Yes,
Fine. Thank you. Mahesh Prabhu, you have anything to say?
Yeah, it is just like, you just told about Guru. I would just like to have your views on this Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara. I mean, how would we treat it, that shloka? I mean, in the light of what you said in the earlier commentary on the Guru.
Okay, so when this shloka is spoken, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Maheshwara, this shloka does not have a Vaishnava origin. This shloka has the origin coming from people who belong to monism, or they are monists, which means they treat humans as God. So because I treat humans as God and my guru is human, so I also treat my guru as God. So in that way, for them, it's not just that Guru is Brahma and Guru is Vishnu and Guru is Mahesh. If you really go deep into their philosophy, everyone is Brahma, everyone is Vishnu, everyone is Mahesh. Or basically they are trying to say, everyone is that supreme absolute power. So they then give that glory also to the Guru because of gratitude towards Guru. However, from Vaishnava's perspective, that approach is wrong, that we don't really treat Guru as the Supreme Lord, in Tattva. We only offer that respect to him, that he is to be respected, he is to be worshipped, but not that we really start seeing that person as the all in all. So it's just, in the expression, it may look the same, but in the understanding, it's not the same. Like a person who respects Guru because the Guru is the medium to take one to God, that expression of respect will be the same as someone actually thinking Guru is God. But because externally, how will you respect someone? The way to respect it's similar. You offer pranams, you offer arati, you give your wealth in donation, you follow all the instructions. That's how you express it outside, isn't it? There are very limited ways of expressing. That's the only way you can express. But the main thing is understanding. Internally, how do you understand? So when a person says Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Mahesha, what is the understanding? Is the understanding that the Guru is same as these personalities? Then it's wrong. It's wrong. But if the understanding is that the Guru should be respected as these personalities because the Guru is giving the knowledge about these personalities, is telling us the truth, then that's okay. So how do I approach? What is my understanding? That's important. These are expressions. Someone saying this shloka is an expression of the heart, that I respect my Guru as Brahma, I respect my Guru as Vishnu, I respect my Guru as Shiva, I respect my Guru as all the Devas. So, okay, fine, that's totally fine. But why do you respect your Guru so? If the answer is because my Guru is Vishnu, my Guru is Brahma, my Guru is Shiva, that's wrong. But if the understanding is my Guru has given me all the knowledge, and by that knowledge, I am able to now understand Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. By that knowledge, I am able to appreciate these personalities. By that knowledge, I'm able to worship these personalities. By knowledge, I'm able to grow in my consciousness. Then there's no problem. So what is the understanding? That's very important. Vijay Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, in 9.4, it is given all beings are in me, but I am not in them.
Yes,
but we have studied, but Bhagavan, Supreme Lord is inside everywhere in every human entity as Paramatma. How should I understand here, Prabhu?
Okay, thank you. We discussed this point yesterday, no, Mataji? I think you were not present yesterday. You're present.
Yes, Prabhu, I was there, but because of that some internet problem, last thing I couldn't hear.
So this question was also asked yesterday by one another devotee. So the answer is that when Krishna says, I am not in them, he's not saying as Paramatma I am not in them. What he's saying is that as Bhagavan I am not everywhere. Because as Bhagavan, he's present in one place, no, in his abode.
Okay, yes, yes,
right?
yes.
So that's what he's trying to say there. So because when Krishna says I, this I can refer to Brahman, this I can refer to Paramatma, this I can refer to Vishnu, this I can refer to Krishna. Because he's everything, he's everyone, right? So sometimes when he says I, it refers to Brahman. Sometimes when he says I, it refers to him as Krishna. So when he says I'm everywhere, so we should understand as Paramatma is everywhere, as Brahman is everywhere. But when he says I am not everywhere, so we should understand as Krishna is not everywhere. As Krishna is in a place, specific place, right? Where he's doing that Leela, the past. Okay, fine. Bhakti Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I had a question regarding yesterday's section about the life of Brahma. Prabhuji, I had an understanding that every universe has a separate Brahma and the lifespan is as we study.
Did we lose her? I think she got disconnected.
Yes, Prabhupada.
Bhakti Mataji, are you there?
No, she's disconnected.
Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, please tell.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
I can hear you, Mataji. I think you cannot hear me. Please check your connection.
Yes, Prabhuji, I'll continue. So, Prabhuji, there are different Brahmas for each universe. So, is the lifespan of those Brahmas going parallelly to the lifespan of our Brahma?
Okay, good question. So, you are asking there are so many Brahmas and they also exist simultaneously. They are in charge of the other universes, and we are having this universe. So there is a Brahma for it. Is their lifespan going simultaneously? Yes, it's happening simultaneously because all the universes, they come out of the body of Mahavishnu at the same time, and they enter also at the same time. So the time span for the universes is the same, but the size of the universe is not the same. The size is different. So the universe in which we live is the smallest universe. And that's why the Brahma of our universe has only 4 heads. He's the tiniest Brahma. And then there are universes with Brahma having 100 heads. The universes with Brahma having 1,000 heads. There is a universe in which the Brahma has 1 million heads. So that is the biggest universe. But then the time for which this universe exists is the same. First thing. Second thing, though the time is the same from Mahavishnu's point of view, the experience of these Brahmas is not the same.
Right. Yes,
why? Because for individually, for them, the time flows at a different speed.
Right.
Okay. But however, from Mahavishnu's point of view, it's the same time. When he exhales, the universes go out. When he inhales, the universes come in. So from his perspective, all the universes were present for the same period of time. However, from individual Brahma's perspective, the experience will not be like that.
So the earthly years is different
Earthly years would
but
again
eventually,
earthly years would not be different. No, for example, we sitting here in this universe, how can we know about the experience of the earthly years in another universe? How would you know? It's a very relative thing, no? Isn't it? Now, for example, I am sitting here in this earth. I know the movement about the sun. So I know, okay, this is 24 hours. Correct? This is my experience. Now, how can I sitting here tell about the experience of the movement of the sun, someone sitting there? It's not possible. I can only do a relative analysis within the universe, because for us to do an analysis, there has to be a common frame. In physics, we studied this. If you want to compare something, there has to be a common frame. So within the universe, you have one sun, so you have a common frame, to compare with and to analyze. So we can understand Brahma's life in terms of our life, because we have experience of our life and the time. So we can compare Brahma's life with that. But then another universe means a totally different reference point, So for that Brahma also, the calculation would be same as what we have done for our Brahma. However, the experience may not be the same. Isn't it? The numbers basically don't really tell you the reality, because number is only a system. How do you count? It's only a system. Like, to give you an example, someone will say one day has 24 hours. Actually, this is a system made by someone. It can also be said one day has 30 hours. You just change the number, you just change the duration of hours. Instead of making an hour of 60 minutes, you make an hour of lesser minutes and then say a day has 30 hours. Isn't it? So all these numbers, these conventions are given for us to relate with it. It's not that this is how exactly it is. That's why the material world is called a world of illusion. And it says the names, the numbers, they are all illusion, because they are all created by humans. That doesn't really tell the reality, right? Okay, Bhakti Mataji. Aarti Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Just one question I had was like, you talked about Ramayana, where Lakshmana gets agitated and emotional when he hears harsh words from Mother Sita. But what about us as human beings, Prabhu, in the sense when we hear harsh words and things of that kind, then we get agitated. So in the sense, like, how are we supposed to act in those scenarios?
Okay, so how are we supposed to act in those situations? A simple answer for this question is, you will act in that situation the way you are. And the way you are, you cannot change it very easily. Isn't it? So one person may act in one way and the other person may act in another way, and both is fine. Both are fine. It's not about exactly how you should be acting in that situation. You should be thinking, by acting in a particular way, what are you going to get?
Okay.
Right. What is achieved? Like, if in that situation, if you get angry and being angry helps, then be angry. If in that situation, being angry doesn't help, staying calm helps, then you stay calm. See, many times people talk about making emotions very concrete. Means you should feel like this, you should experience like this. But this is not how it is. Emotions are tools. Emotions, sometimes in some situations, being calm is more helpful. In some situations, being angry is more helpful. It depends on what the situation is, right? Now, if Arjuna says angry or being angry is the wrong emotion, then how can he fight and do the duty of fighting without being angry? Not possible, no? So it's not that we have to struggle or strive for having a particular kind of emotion or only feel like in a particular way. The whole purpose should be feeling in that way or feeling in this way. Is it helping me to become a better servant of the Lord or a devotee of the Lord? The purpose should be that,
Okay.
And if that purpose is achieved, then how do I feel is not really important. Because the purpose is what? By my feeling in this way, I should be able to give some happiness to Krishna or the Supreme Lord. Because if the Lord becomes happy, I also become happy. Isn't it? An impersonalist approach is that, let me control all my emotions. And that's what generally people talk about. Control your mind, control your anger, control your emotions. So it's more of, becoming a master of the self. However, the Vaishnava's understanding is not really that. The Vaishnava's understanding is that even if you become a master of the self, what is the next thing? The next thing is that mastery should help you to serve the Supreme Lord better. Otherwise, what is the point in being a master of the self? Isn't it? Like, I give a very simple example. You educate your children, and at the end of the day, if they don't become a better child, then what would you say? What did your study do then? And after studying so much, if you could not really learn to respect the parents and serve them better, then all your education is useless, isn't it? So everything that the parent does for the child is to make the child a better child or a better servant. Isn't it? The goal is what? The goal is that you should be able to give pleasure by your achievements, by your character, by your knowledge to your parents or to the society. Similarly, the purpose of anything, whether I can control my emotions, I cannot control my emotions. Whether I get angry, I don't get angry. Whether I stay calm, whether I don't stand. I get disturbed, I not get disturbed. The purpose is I should be able to bring pleasure to Krishna. So if I'm able to do that, then the emotions, any emotions is a welcome emotion. Right? So as Vaishnavas, we don't run away from anger because we know anger can also be used when required. We don't say completely become free from anger. No, it's an emotion and it has a use. So you use it, right? As Vaishnavas, we don't really run away from pride. No, we use the pride in the right way, that the pride of being a servant, a devotee. The pride of being righteous means following the right path. That is also a pride. No, pride means, a sense of, it's a feeling that, yes, what I'm doing is the right thing. That's called pride, isn't it? Correct. So a Vaishnava will also have pride, but the right pride, the correct pride. Similarly, think the right ego, the right emotions, the right feelings, the right sense of love. That is all there. So how one should act in a situation, that will be different from situation to situation. It cannot be like, okay, in all situations I'm going to be like that. That is being neutral, and that is only helpful if you want to get rid of material modes. That doesn't help to enter into spiritual relationship, because when you talk about relationships, there are going to be emotions, and when you talk about emotions, there are going to be both the positive and the negative emotions. They both add to the flavor of relationship. When we study Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, this topic will come. So there in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, there are 12 rasas mentioned, 5 primary, 7 secondary. Okay, and all 12 of them, they enhance the relationship. Now, what are the secondary ones? If you hear the secondary ones, you will think, how can such emotions exist in the spiritual world? Because spiritual world should only have good emotions, right? Now, the 7 secondary emotions are: first, fear; second, anger; third, horror. So now all these are generally seen as negative emotions, correct? But in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, we understand that these emotions, they enhance the relationship with the Supreme Lord in some pastimes. So you don't really reject them. You're getting it, right? So if you get disturbed in a situation, accept it. I mean, be normal about it. Just don't let that disturbance affect your clarity of purpose, goal in life. What you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do. If If something happens and we feel a sense of pain, and if we shed a tear or two, there's nothing wrong about it. But if you keep on crying for 10 days and then you don't go to the kitchen and make chapatis for your children, or you don't go to the office and do your job, that's the problem.
Okay.
Right? All right.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Fine. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you.